Okay, we're continuing our study of the Creator's calendar, and like I mentioned last week, I don't have it all figured out, but what we don't know, we can figure out together. There's some things that's evident. We're going to talk about some of those things that are evident today. Now, before we get started, I want you to empty your purses and your pockets of all eggs and tomatoes. Things of that nature. Don't be throwing things at the pastor, okay? All right. Let's jump in. Okay, we left off last week with a problem that presented itself. And the problem was that we were faced with is that there exists a 365.25 days in a solar year. But there's only 364 days in Yah's calendar found amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls, thereby leaving us with 1.25 days excess each year. Now, I'll have you know that even though this was undoubtedly known by the Zadokite priest, there wasn't any evidence of any type of intercalary method found to address this issue among their calendric writings. My personal opinion concerning this phenomenon is that the intercalary method was maybe kept as a closely guarded secret, orally passed down from one high priest to the next amongst the Zadokite priests of Elohim. Maybe, I don't know. One of the major factors that leads me to this conclusion is the fact that they refer to the sacred calendar as wondrous mysteries, the secret of your wonder, the mystery of your knowledge, etc. So there's always an aspect of mystery connected with it. And as you know, there is an aspect of mystery connected with it, in every aspect, really. Another reason is that the fact that the last calendar document to be translated in late 2017 was actually encoded in encoded Hebrew. It was in Hebrew, but it was in encoded Hebrew. It was literally written in code. And so, that's some of the things that leads me, some of the reasons that leads me, to this. So, when it comes to intercalating, one may first ask, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to intercalate? And to intercalate simply means, to put days into a calendar so that it doesn't begin to drift from nature's seasons, from the natural seasons in nature. So this is the reason that they intercalate, and this is what it means to intercalate, simply to add days, to make adjustments so that the calendar stay in sync with Yah's seasons. Now, within our Gregorian calendar, there are 365 days, but there are 365.25 days in a solar year. Hence, it is 0.25 days short, and therefore the Gregorian calendar needs to make up for this 0.25 days, which adds up over time. And I know it doesn't sound like very much, and it isn't, but it adds up over time, and it does this by intercalating a day every 4 years, which we call leap years. And so when we look at the lunar or the lunisolar calendar, either or, the year is 354 days, thereby leaving 11 days short per year. Hence, they intercalate an extra month every 3 years. Within Yah's calendar, there are 364 days, but there are 365.25 days within a year, thereby leaving 1.25 days left over. Hence, it needs to be intercalated. The calendar is based upon the number 7 and the number 4. Hence the Sabbath is the seventh day, and there is a Sabbath or seventh year called a Shemitah, as well as a Jubilee, which is a Sabbath seventh week, or a Sabbath of years. So 7 years times 7 years makes up a Jubilee. On the other hand, the year and the high days begin on day 4. So we see these 7s and 4s, throughout the calendar. Now, I believe if there were a method of intercalation for Yah's calendar, it would also be based upon the number 7 and or the number 4. I found 3 ways it can be done. The first way is by adding 7 days at the start of every Shemitah or Sabbath year, and add 14 days at the start of Jubilees, i.e. the 7th Shemitah. Add an additional 7 days, at the Jubilee. And then the second way is again by adding 7 days at the start of the Sabbath year and 14 days at the start of the 4th Shemitah, that is the 28th year. And the third way is by adding a day at the end of the year, which I referred to previously, the day of the kingship of the Adonai, with another day added every 4th year. This is what the math looks like. So, with the first method, okay, so there's 364 days in Yah's year, right? In his calendar. Now, 364 times 7 is 2,548. Now, at the 7th year, we're going to add 7 days. Because this is a Sabbath for a 7th year, you add 7 days. 2,548 plus 7 days equal 2,555. 2,555 times 7 equals 17,885. This would be a Jubilee. Now, this would be a Jubilee, i.e. the 49th year. That is the 7th week of Sabbath years. So you add another 7 days for it being a Jubilee. So that's 17,885 plus 7 days equals 17,892. So we have 17,892 days within a Jubilee, 49 years of Yah's calendar, after it's been intercalated, that is. Therefore, if we divide this number by 49, it'll give us the average length of days per year after intercalation. So 17,892 divided by 49 equals 365.14 days per year. And solar year is 365.25 days per year. So as you can see, this is pretty accurate. Method number 2. Method number 2, again, you start with 364 days in Yah's year. 364 times 7 is 2,548. Because this is a Shemitah or Sabbath year, you add 7 days. So we have 2,548 plus 7 equal 2,555. 2,555 times 4 is 10,220. Because with this method, you're adding intercalary days at the 28th year. So 7 times 4 is 28, so that's why you do 2,555 times 4 gives you 10,220. This would be the 4th Shemitah, i.e. the 28th year. That is the 4th week of Sabbath years. This is where we add another 7 days for it being, that's incorrect. I was trying to use the same slide though. But it's 10,220. And That shouldn't be like that, but it is. But actually, so it would be the 10, 2, 20, and then you divide that by 28, and you would get the average number, and it comes out to 365.25 days exactly. You know, I don't know why. Something must have got lost when I was transferring it from one computer to the other. But method number 3, I wonder if this one's gonna be right. We'll see. Start out 364 days again in Yah's year. 364 plus 1 gives us 365, you know, and that is the day of the kingship of our Adonai, if we go with that method. And then you multiply that by 4, which is 1460. Add 1 gives you 1461. So we have a total of 1461 days at the end of 4 years, Yah's calendar, after it's been intercalated. Therefore, if we divide this number by 4, it'll give us the average length of days per year after intercalation. So 1461 divided by 4 gives us 365.25 days per year. So method number 2 and method number 3 works out to 365.25 days exactly. And method number 1 works out to 365.14 days. So there's 3 prospective methods of intercalating. You know, but now I'm gonna go out on a limb. Okay? Let me get out there on that limb. All right. You know, now while I was out there on that limb, you know, I determined it was time for a rethink. Okay? And so, in rethinking this, I was considering the cycles. The cycles from the vernal equinox to the vernal equinox being 365 days. And I was thinking about the reason that we intercalate. And the reason we intercalate is so that our days doesn't fall out of sync with the seasons and the moon phases, so that they don't fall out of sync. You know, and now I've been toiling over this for quite a while, you know, and sometimes when you're thinking about something so long, so hard, you know, you get all discombobulated. So somebody please let me know if I've gotten discombobulated and if this makes no sense. But what I determined was maybe there was nothing in writing concerning the method of intercalation, because maybe there wasn't a method of intercalation. You know, and so I started thinking, okay, well, the whole point of intercalation is to stay in sync with Yah's seasons and with his moon phases, right? You know, and the reason that becomes necessary is because, you know, when you have another calendar, you're utilizing that calendar, but you're trying to stay in sync with the calendar that Yah put in nature. And so therefore, you have to intercalate in order not to lose sync with Yah's calendar in nature. But if this is supposed to be Yah's calendar, then why would we have to intercalate? You know, and what I came up with is that, you know, it seems to be self-intercalating or Yah intercalating. You know, so again, you know, I could be wrong on this. So if anyone, you know, think I am, please bring it to my attention. But, you know, we start the year on the equinox, I don't really see how we can fall out of sync with the seasons. Because it's the equinox that sets the path for the seasons. And so all these other calendars, because they don't start with the equinox, they fall out of sync. Because they're a continuous cycle. And so, you don't start with the equinox, you're going to soon fall out of sync. But by starting with the equinox, we're always resetting, and after our 364 days is left, we have to wait on the equinox anyway before we can start another year. So to me, that's like Yah calculating his own calendar. And it could never fall out of sync because it's always starting at the same point. And that's the thing with every other calendar, it doesn't start at the same point. There's nothing stationary about it. But I begin to consider this, and I'm like, okay, well, if we start at the same point, we begin at the same point, like with the new moon calendar, with the lunar calendar rather, we start at the same point, but the new moon begins at different points, and so you would have to intercalate. But if we're doing a solar calendar and we're starting with the solar start point of the equinox, it can never get off. And if it goes a little longer, we just sit back and wait for y'all to start the year.
Hallelujah.
So no intercalation even needed. And I think maybe that's why there was not found any information in over 1,000 scrolls concerning intercalation. Because you wouldn't need it, because you're with the standard. You're not going against the standard. So again, if anyone can show me where I'm wrong in that, please, I'm not being facetious, please let me know. But I really think it would be self-correcting, or Yah correcting. So again, we have these cycles. The year goes through these cycles. It goes from spring to summer to autumn to winter, and it keeps going round and round and round, right? And the following information is found in 4Q320 and 4Q321 of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So that's 4Q320 and 4Q321. And what I'm about to deal with is the cycles that's found in Yah's calendar year. It's actually a 6-year cycle. And so what I'm about to show you now is the moon phases and how they fall within that 6-year cycle. Okay? All right, so I'm going to start with year number 1. Okay. Year number 1, month 1, week 1, day 1, there's a full moon, which makes perfect sense. We'll get into that a little later, but we see it's a full moon. Now, month 1, week 3, day 17, there's an FOG. And I know you're wondering, what the heck is a FOG? But this is the way they termed it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And, one of the translators, said, it's the new moon. But actually, it's confirmed in one of the other writings that it stands for the finger of God. That's what they call the sliver. That's what they call the sliver. So, we see it's a full moon, on day 1, there's a sliver on day 17 of week 3. You know, and we can utilize this to absolutely know where we are in the calendar. You know, in week 5, day 30, there's a full moon. Week 8, day 17, there's a sliver, or the finger of God. That just sounds good. You know, now, in the second month, on the 10th day, day 30, there's another full moon. And in the third month, 12th week, 16th day, there's another sliver or finger of God. Also in the third month, 14th week, 29th day, there's a full moon. 4th month, 16th week, 15th day, finger of God or sliver. 4th month, 18th week, 28th day, another full moon. And week 20, month 5, day 14, there's another finger of God or sliver. And week 22, month 5, day 27, there's a full moon. Month 6, week 25, day 14, there's another finger of Elohim. And month 6, week 26, day 27, there's a full moon. And so on with the latter part of the year, month 7, 29th week, day 12, we'll find a sliver. And month 7, 31st week, day 25, we'll find a full moon. In the 8th month, 33rd week, 12th day, we'll find a sliver. You know, 8th month, 35th week, 25th day, we'll have a full moon. 9th month, 37th week, 11th day, another sliver. And in week 39, day 24 of the 9th month, there'll be a full moon. Week 10, you know, the sliver will fall on the 10th day. And in month 11, the sliver will fall on the 9th day, and the full moon on the 22nd day. In month 12, you know, the sliver will be found on the 9th day, and the full moon on the 22nd day. You know, and that is the cycle for the lunar phases for year 1. And for year 2, you know, it changes a bit. You have month 1, week 2, day 7, you have a sliver. You know, in the 4th week, on day 20 of the first month, you have a full moon. In the second month, on day 7, you have a sliver. In the second month, on day 20, you have a full moon. And in the second month, that should be third month. Third month, day 6, you have a sliver. And then in the third month, 12th week, day 19, you have a full moon. And so on, and so on, and so on. Yeah, that's a lot to say. We have 4 more years to go. You know, but you get the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so this is that's year 2 for the first 6 months. This is year 2 for the second set of 6 months, the latter half of the year. You know, and this is we have all the times when the full moons and the slivers occur. You know, we have the months that they occur, the weeks that they occur, the days that they occur. So it's no mistaking, you know, where we are, you know, within the cycle. You know, And then you have year 3, and it continues on. You have all the full moons and all the slivers, you know, and the same thing, the latter half of year 3. And then in year 4, likewise with y'all, year 4 will be the same as year 1. And year 5 will actually be the same as year 2. And year 6 will actually be the same as year 3. So there's no way that we can get off track. You know, it's a 6-year cycle. Okay? But of course, there's another problem. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, you know. Yeah. All right, so think about this calendar and the intercalation and all this stuff. You know, you will always have to intercalate when you try to put a calendar on a calendar. Yes. Whenever you try to put a calendar on a calendar, you know, whenever you try to put a calendar on Yah's calendar, you're going to have to intercalate because only Yah's calendar is perfect the way he made it. You know, and this is the problem. You know, with the calendar that's found in Qumran, you know, the Zadokai calendar that they testify is Yah's calendar, passed down from the angels to Enoch. When you look at the beginning of Enoch, I should have put that quote up here, but in the beginning of Enoch, Enoch actually tells them, you know, this is not for you guys. He says it's for, like, the last generation. He let them know it's not even for y'all. You know, I'm writing this for the benefit of that last generation, that latter generation. Very long time from now. You know, I really, you know, think it's more than a coincidence that this information has been lost for thousands of years, and it's just, you know, I'm not going to say magically, I'm going to say Yah like appeared miraculously. You know, I don't think this is by happenstance. You know, and, you know, as much as, you know, I wanted it to, it just won't work with our current calendar. You can't put the calendar on a calendar and expect for it to work. When we put the Qumran calendar on the Gregorian calendar, it starts off on day 4. But then the next year, it'll move, day 4 will move over to day 5. And the year after that, it'll be on day 6. And before you know it, we'll have day 1 same as day 7. It won't work. You know, this is the same reason that your birthday floats through the days of the week. Because your birthday is on a set day. So that's why it floats through the week. And so will y'all's calendar when you put it upon man's calendar. It's going to flow. It's going to flow through the weeks. You know, and it fooled me because this year it just so happened to work out. Started on the 4th day, 7th day, you know, was truly, was the Shabbat. Just so happened to be day 7 of the Gregorian calendar. But that's not going to happen every time. It's impossible. It can't. You know, and I've heard different theories. I've read about every which way you can possibly think of to do this, you know. And I thought they had this one way, I forget how they termed it, but they, you know, they were saying that, you know, it will factor out, you know. And so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna find out. So I went for 100 years. So I calculated it out 100 years. It does not work out. You know, if you just, you know, it was the method of you just start on a Wednesday every time. You know, the days that, you know, that is not on a Wednesday, the days that make up for it to land on a Wednesday will be the perfect amount of days to intercalate the calendar. No, it don't work that way. You know, I painstakingly proved it out, and I know it does not work. There's no way around it. You know, it's going to move through the Gregorian calendar. And that's probably because the Gregorian calendar wasn't even a part of the plan. It wasn't thought of. You know, it wasn't in existence. If anything, it should be trying to fit the Gregorian calendar in Yah's calendar. You know, so all I can say is what Joshua said. You know, as much as I wanted it to align, you know, and be convenient for everyone, it just isn't. You know, and like Joshua said, choose this day whom ye shall serve.
Hallelujah.
That's all I have for you.
Yeah.